Hey, listen, stop asking me, do I love that woman? And I do. And I ain't gonna play about her. And ain't nobody gonna play with her. I'm stepping 10 behind her. I don't give a fuck how bad we get into it and how we fall out. That's mine's over there.
June 2025, just hours before Father's Day, a Georgia man named Zamarcus Carr logged onto Facebook Live in a fit of rage, unleashing a shocking public confession that would end in unthinkable violence. For over 2 hours, he ranted, accused, and exposed his wife's deepest secrets while she fought back in real time. By the next morning, both were dead. This wasn't just another social media meltdown. It was the explosive climax of a toxic marriage filled with infidelity, betrayal, financial ruin, and alleged witchcraft. Zamarcus, a man with a criminal past, accused his wife, Zariah Carr, of cheating, giving him an STD, and conspiring to destroy his life. Zariah, in turn, claimed he was abusive, controlling, and paranoid. Their arguments had played out in courtrooms, jail cells, and now live in front of thousands of viewers. But this time, there would be no reconciliation, no restraining order, no second chance. By the time the live stream ended, Zamarcus had made up his mind. And before the sun rose on Father's Day, he carried out a horrific act, killing his wife before turning the gun on himself. What led to this brutal murder-suicide? Was it a crime of passion, a final act of revenge, or the tragic end of a relationship doomed from the start? This is the full, unfiltered story behind the viral Facebook Live video that shocked the internet and the dark truth about what really happened that night. According to Zamarcus Carr's explosive Facebook Live confession, his relationship with Zariah began in the unlikeliest of places, behind prison walls. Their story started when Zariah entered his life during his incarceration, likely through prison visits, letters, or mutual connections. In those early days, Zamarcus described her as his ride or die, a woman who stood by him when he had nothing. Her loyalty seemed unquestionable when she even got arrested alongside him in September 2020 for smuggling contraband, including drugs and cell phones, into Hancock State Prison. But what began as a prison love story soon twisted into something far darker. The woman Zamarcus once saw as his most loyal supporter would later become, in his eyes, his ultimate betrayer. Their relationship took a fateful turn when they married while Zamarcus was still in prison or a halfway house. A decision he would later bitterly regret, calling himself a dumb ass for falling into what he believed was a carefully laid trap. As Zamarcus ranted during his fateful live stream, he painted a picture of a woman who had manipulated him at his most vulnerable, using marriage as a way to control him. The man who once saw Zariah as his rock now accused her of being his ruin, alleging infidelity, financial manipulation, and even giving him an STD. This toxic brew of betrayal and resentment would ultimately explode in that final, horrific Facebook Live session where their private war became a public spectacle with deadly consequences. Long before their fatal confrontation, Zamarcus and Zariah's bond was cemented in criminal activity. In September 2020, their names appeared together in Hancock County arrest records after a failed contraband smuggling operation at the state prison, caught attempting to bring in everything from methamphetamine to cell phones. This shared brush with the law created what Zamarcus would later call their ride or die phase, when Zariah proved her loyalty by risking her own freedom for him. But that criminal solidarity couldn't withstand the pressures of their toxic relationship. As domestic violence incidents escalated, Zariah sought protection through the courts, obtaining a restraining order against Zamarcus at one point. Yet in a pattern tragically common in abusive relationships, she ultimately dropped the charges, a decision that would later haunt her social media posts. In the weeks before her death, Zariah confessed to friends that she feared retribution for withdrawing the order, writing in one chilling message, "They free him, though I feel like he's going to try to hurt me more." Their story became a cycle of reconciliations and escalating, from the prison smuggling case that furthered them, to the dropped restraining order that lay vulnerable, to the final violent explosion that both their lives. The couple's shared history with law enforcement created a dangerous dynamic where neither truly escaped the consequences of their choices, trapped in a downward spiral that until there was nowhere left to fall. The turning point in their toxic relationship came when Zamarcus made what he would later describe as the worst decision of his life, marrying Zariah while still incarcerated or in a halfway house. In his bitter Facebook Live rant, he recalled the moment with self-loathing. "My dumbass married her in prison. I thought we were locked in." This prison wedding, meant to solidify their bond, instead became the foundation for Zamarcus's growing paranoia and resentment. He became convinced that Zariah had strategically trapped him during his most vulnerable moment, using marriage as a way to control him and access his resources. What began as a romantic commitment behind bars quickly warped into a prison of its own making. Zamarcus described feeling shackled to a woman he increasingly saw as his betrayer. Their marital vows transformed into chains of suspicion. Even after his release, he couldn't escape the psychological hold of that prison wedding. The ceremony that was supposed to mark a new beginning instead became the origin story of their destruction. His repeated references to being locked in took on a double meaning, reflecting both his physical incarceration when they married and the emotional imprisonment he felt long after his release. This fateful union set the stage for all that followed: the accusations of infidelity, the battles over money, and ultimately the violent end that played out before thousands of horrified Facebook viewers. Their marriage certificate might as well have been a death warrant, signed in the naive hope of prison love but fulfilled in bloodshed. As the Facebook live stream cut off, the digital spectators had no way of knowing they'd just witnessed the prologue to a real-life horror story. In the suffocating silence that followed Zamarcus's explosive public confession, the years of toxic love, prison vows, and broken restraining orders reached their inevitable climax. The man who had just broadcast his deepest shames and darkest secrets to the world finally snapped, turning his vengeful rage not just against Zariah's reputation, but against her very life. As the Facebook live stream cut off, the digital spectators had no way of knowing they'd just witnessed the prologue to a real-life horror story. In the suffocating silence that followed Zamarcus's explosive public confession, the years of toxic love, prison vows, and broken restraining orders reached their inevitable climax. The man who had just broadcast his deepest shames and darkest secrets to the world finally snapped, turning his vengeful rage not just against Zariah's reputation, but against her very life. In the final, chaotic moments of Zamarcus and Zariah's fatal Facebook live stream, a single name seemed to detonate like a bomb: OD.
I ain't get to tell you. I ain't get to tell about Udi. Then
I swear you'll die.
then I gotta die by that. You told my shit.
Give me my phone.
Damn, bitch.
Give me my
I
phone.
gotta die if I tell what happened.
Give me my phone.
That's crazy, y'all. I ain't really looked out behind this, so y'all won't know that tea right now.
Give me my phone.
Mark,
According
they got
to
quiet.
explosive social media claims circulating after the tragedy, this wasn't just any name, but a dark secret from Zamarcus's past that Zariah allegedly threatened to expose. Multiple Facebook comments and threads suggest OD was Zamarcus's former best friend, a man he had supposedly set up to be killed years earlier. The rumors claim Zamarcus beat the charges for OD's murder, then attended the funeral playing the grieving friend, all while allegedly knowing exactly what had happened. This unspoken truth became the couple's most dangerous skeleton in the closet. When Zariah brought up OD's name during their live stream, witnesses say Zamarcus's demeanor shifted instantly. "I bet you'll be unalived," he allegedly fired back, a chilling response that many now believe was his way of warning her. This was the one secret that could never get out. The social media frenzy paints a picture of a man who had buried the secret for years only to have the woman closest to him threaten to expose it publicly. Some speculate this revelation, not just the infidelity or financial disputes, was what pushed Zamarcus over the edge. If true, it would mean Zariah didn't just die over a toxic relationship, she may have died over a secret that was never supposed to be spoken. Yet without concrete evidence, the OD theory remains shrouded in speculation, a ghost from Zamarcus's past that may have finally come back to haunt them both. In the wake of the unthinkable tragedy, Zamarcus's mother broke her silence with a statement that cut through the noise, raw, unfiltered, and heavy with the pain of a woman who had witnessed the storm long before it destroyed everything. "If you wasn't there, you can't say nothing," she began, her words sharp with defiance. "If you never heard her or him say how they was tired, how they wanted out, but then they'd separate only for him to go back, or for her to hunt him down at my house at the park in Jessup, then you don't know. You just don't." Their relationship, built on prison visits and criminal loyalty, had long since curdled into something unrecognizable, a toxic dance of love, violence, and unspeakable secrets. Now, their children are left without parents. Their families are left with unanswered questions. And the internet is left with a horrifying live stream, a digital gravestone for a love that burned too hot and too destructive to last. Some stories don't have morals. Some tragedies don't have lessons. Zamarcus and Zariah's story is just a reminder of how dangerous love can be when it becomes an obsession and how quickly forever can turn into too late.